Hello, I'm Steve Weber, the host of Beatles Rewind. As always, I'm joined by my co-host and fellow Beatlemaniac, my confidante, Cassandra. Cassandra, you ready to dig into I Want to Hold Your Hand? Okay, so this single, let's dive in hard. You know, we talk about big hits all the time, but this one, it feels different based on our sources.
Well, completely different. I Want to Hold Your Hand wasn't just a #1 record. It was, well, the sources frame it as the starting gun for the 1960s in America.
A seismic cultural event, they call it. The declaration of the British invasion, basically.
And it's fascinating how all the analysis seems to agree. This track is treated like the absolute blueprint for global pop domination.
Like, if you want to understand how pop music works on a massive scale, the speed, the energy, this is ground zero.
Precisely. But what really gets me is the contrast. This huge world-changing thing. Where did it start?
Yeah, not some, high-tech studio complex. We're talking about something much more, well, humble.
Delightfully humble, as one source puts it. Think about this. It was mostly written in a basement.
Jane Asher's parents' house on Wimpole Street in London. Right. Paul was dating Jane at the time.
Exactly. That basement music room was the spot. And the sources really stress it was a genuine 50-50 Lennon-McCartney effort.
Like proper face-to-face, working it out together, not one guy bringing in a finished song.
Right. They were literally eyeball to eyeball, building it piece by piece.
And that collaborative energy, that intensity, it led to this key moment, didn't it? The discovery of that perfect chord.
Ah, yes, the chord that made Lennon jump up.
So for people listening who maybe aren't deep into music theory, what exactly was that chord? What made it so special?
Well, it wasn't your standard pop chord. It's an F-sharp diminished chord.
Okay.
And it gets squeezed in just for a moment, right before the E minor chord in the chorus. It's what musicians call a passing chord. It creates
Tension.
tension.
Tension. How does that work in a pop song that sounds so upbeat?
Because diminished chords have this dissonance, this slightly unsettling sound, it creates a tiny bit of musical anxiety, almost.
Okay, I think I get that.
And then, bam, it resolves straight into the E minor, which feels really satisfying and joyful by comparison.
Yeah.
So that little bit of tension makes the release, the I want to hold your hand part, feel even more euphoric. Earned, almost.
Makes sense. It adds that extra kick. And Lennon's quote about it is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, we were just writing it in the basement, and Paul hit this chord, and I turned to him and said, that's it. Just like that.
Recognizing history in a basement. Amazing.
What's really interesting is how this artistic breakthrough happened right alongside a technical one.
Ah, the 4-track machine. This was their first time using it, wasn't it?
It was a brand new 4-track recorder at EMI. Before that, it was mostly mono or a very basic 2-track stereo.
So, moving to 4 tracks, that was a huge deal, right? What did it let them actually do differently with the sound?
It opened up everything in terms of layering. The big one for this track was being able to properly double-track John and Paul's vocals.
So they sang the main melody together.
Sang it together, then recorded that again on another track and blended them. It gives the vocals this incredible density and power.
Yeah.
It sounds bigger, more confident than just one voice.
Almost like a command. And it let George Harrison add more layers, too.
Absolutely. You get those shimmering guitar fills, that really iconic riff in the bridge. The 4-track made that rich, urgent sound possible. It was key.
So they have this perfectly engineered sound, this amazing song, but getting it heard in America was a whole other battle.
Oh, yeah. The Capitol offense, as the sources call it. Capitol Records, their supposed U.S. label, was deeply skeptical.
Right, they'd already passed on earlier Beatles single.
Repeatedly. They'd seen things like Please, Please Me and She Loves You fizzle out on smaller U.S. labels. They just didn't get it, didn't think a British act like this could break through.
So how did it finally happen if Capitol was so reluctant?
Brian Epstein, their manager. He basically had to strong-arm them, practically guarantee success. It was a massive gamble on his part.
But once Capitol agreed, they didn't mess around, did they?
No, they went big. They realized if they were going to do it, they had to go all in, which leads to that promotional campaign.
The $50,000 blitz, which you have to remember was an insane amount of money back then for a new act, especially a foreign one.
Completely unheard of. It wasn't just ads. It was ensuring radio play, flooding stores with records, creating this inescapable buzz they wanted to manufacture demand.
Make it impossible to ignore.
Exactly.
Right.
Create the hype before people even knew what they were hyped about.
And boy, did it work. The speed of it all is just mind-blowing.
Staggering. Released December 26, 1963.
Just after Christmas.
Yep. Sells over 1 million copies in the first week. hits #1 on the Billboard chart by February 1st, 1964. It was like a dam breaking.
The American music scene just changed instantly.
Which brings up that fascinating point about sound before sight.
Right. Because the song was everywhere on the radio before most Americans had actually seen the band.
The sound conquered first. People heard this incredible energy, this driving beat, these unique harmonies. But the visual, the whole mop-top phenomenon, that came slightly later.
Until Ed Sullivan, essentially, February 9th, 1964.
That's when the sound and the sight finally slammed together, and you had, 73 million people watching?
The biggest TV audience in history at that point. Beatlemania wasn't just music anymore. It was a full-blown cultural thing.
Obsession, yeah. So let's talk about the song itself, the structure, musically, where does it fit?
It's textbook Mersey beat, right? Or beat music.
Definitely. Which basically means it's rock and roll, but filtered through that British sensibility. Lots of energy, fast tempo, R&B influence, but with a real focus on melody and harmony.
Controlled chaos, you called it earlier. I like that.
It fits. And the structure, while based on simple chords mostly in the key of G major, is pretty dynamic. It uses that AABA form.
Okay, so AABA, break that down quickly. Verse, bridge, verse.
Pretty much. You get the main verse section twice, A, then that contrasting middle part, the bridge, B, where they sing, and when I touch you, I feel happy inside.
Right, different melody there.
Completely different feel. It breaks things up, adds interest before snapping back to that final verse, A, and the main hook. It keeps it from getting too repetitive.
Smart structure. And instrumentally, Ringo often gets called the unsung hero on this track.
Oh, his drumming is absolutely crucial. It's the engine. He's not just keeping time. He's using that syncopated hi-hat pattern.
Syncopated meaning.
Yeah.
Off the main beat.
Yeah, emphasizing the ands 1 and 2 and.
Yeah.
It creates this urgent, forward-leaning pulse. It makes the whole track feel like it's rushing, almost manic.
Gives it that relentless drive. And back to the vocals, that doubling wasn't just technical, was it? There's a psychological effect.
For sure. By having John and Paul sing the entire lead line together, perfectly blended, it doesn't sound like two guys harmonizing. It sounds like one incredibly powerful, unified voice.
Twice as confident, you said. Like it removes any doubt.
Exactly. It's this wall of sound coming at you. John's edge, Paul's sweetness, fused into one unstoppable force.
And that unique sound even caught the ear of people like Bob Dylan.
Yeah, there's that great story. Dylan heard that vocal sound, that combined voice, and apparently said he knew right away they weren't just some flash in the pan. They had staying power.
High praise from the folk king. Okay, we have to touch on the weirdest part of the story, the German version.
Ah, yes. Komm, gib mir deine Hand.
It exists. You hear it and just think, why? Why record it in German?
Simple answer, market pressure. And contracts. Germany was a massive market, and the record company over there insisted.
So they were actually obligated to do it.
Contractually obligated for 2 songs, this one and She Loves You, which became Sie liebt dich.
Wow, so they did it in Paris in early '64. How did they manage the German lyrics not being fluent speakers?
Phonetically. They literally had the German lyrics written out phonetically on a script and just sang them until they sounded okay.
Oh, okay, that's kind of funny. But here's the really wild part. They didn't re-record the music, did they?
Nope. They took the original master tape from London, wiped the English vocals,
just erased John and Paul's English singing,
and overdubbed the new, phonetically learned German vocals right on top of the original instrumental backing track.
That's bizarre. So it's the exact same music, same energy, same Ringo drumming, but with German lyrics shouted over it.
Pretty much. It sounds strangely authentic because the underlying performance is so powerful. It just sort of works, even though they probably barely knew what they were singing.
It really shows how strong that original instrumental track was, I guess. The energy carried it.
It really did. So bringing it all together, what's the big takeaway here?
For me, it's that this song was the perfect weapon. Launched from a basement, pushed through industry skepticism, it hit America with such force purely on sound alone. The image just sealed the deal. It really did rewrite the rules for pop music globally.
It absolutely set the stage, and maybe leaves us with a thought, something for you listening to chew on. We talked about the 4-track recorder and how it enabled that powerful double-tracked vocal sound, a sound that really defined them early on. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do the tools available, the technology, whether it's limited or brand new, how often does that actually shape the sound of an entire era?
Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. Every day, we do something new there. Cass, we'll do it again tomorrow.
That's good. See you then.
Until next time.
When you listen,
Your mind conducts its own symphony.